case you haven't lost all hope, another Catholic's gonna lose the Catholic vote. Just watch! You can't go winning when you're as good at losing as we are. You can't go winning when you're as good at losing as we are. You can't go winning when you're as good at losing as we are. You can't go winning when you're as good at
Girardi with the fade out ending.
Whoa.
It's awesome. That's the latest from Michael Girardi. The Losers Bracket is the name of that song. You can find Michael Girardi's work. Just go to Mike Girardi Bandcamp, Gerardi, Mike Girardi Bandcamp, and you will find a plethora of Ben Joravsky Show themed rock songs, all right, from the one, the only Michael Girardi. How's it going, everybody? How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing well, young man. You know what? I'm
What?
eating a banana.
Oh, there we go.
It's really good.
Your Ben Joravsky Show for Wednesday, September 9th is just moments away. But before we do this, let's thank the following unions for sponsoring this program. Unions like the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9. The International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150 are sponsors, as well as our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. If you would like to sponsor our podcast,
Come on, man.
Come on, man, do it. Send us an email, BennyJShow at gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J show at gmail.com. And I will direct your message to whoever needs to read it. And you can become a sponsor of the Ben Joravsky Show. Lucky you. We are really good at live reads. Okay. Let's get it on and popping here, Ben. Give us a song of the day if you could before we get started. And live stream chat, let us know if you can hear us, all right? This is why we do the song of the day, to make sure you can all hear us. So let her rip, Ben.
Actually, that is not completely correct. We do the song of the day because many people have said, Ben, my God, you have a beautiful voice.
Okay.
And it really just gets my day off to a good start when I hear you singing, especially when you sing Beatles songs. So for all you Beatle lovers out there, ooh, I need your love, babe. Come on, D. Guess you know it's true. Woo, woo, woo. Hope you need my love, babe. Everybody, just like I need you. Boom, hey.
All right, I've been keeping track. That's like 5 Beatles songs in the last month, so.
I love the Beatles.
The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. It is Wednesday, September 9th. And live from his attic and my apartment, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, we're talking all things Trump with legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson. And now your host, a guy who does not mind talking Trump, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this, speaking of Trump, Judd for Trump's Defense Wednesday. And here's why. Judd for the Defense was a popular TV show in the 1960s, a distant era that no one remembers except for me and maybe Monroe, who will be today's guests. The Judd in this case is William Barr, Attorney General, the nation's chief law enforcement officer. He's supposed to be the independent watchdog looking out for your best interests, America. To hell with that. We all know what he is. He's Trump's legal bulldog. Oh, he's coming to Trump's defense, just like Judd used to do back in that TV show. He already did that. Bill Barr did with the Mueller report and the Michael Flynn case. I urge absolutely everyone, when you're done with today's show, check out Jim Coogan's, the interview I did with Coogan. He takes apart the Michael Flynn case and shows how William Barr is overstepping his powers. Anyway, now it turns out William Barr's Justice Department will be defending President Trump in his rape defamation lawsuit, the one that was filed against him, I should say. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why? Hold it. Donald Trump, president in Law and Order, accused of rape? Yes, he was, America. But of course, loyal listeners to the Ben Joravsky Show know that. But MAGA America is blissfully unaware. Just one piece of news you'll never, ever, ever read in the Tribune editorial page or in a column by my dear friend, Johnny Cass. No, not Johnny Cash. God dang it, millennials. How many times do I have to tell you? That's the guy who's singing A Boy Named Sue. I'll never get tired. I owe that joke to Dennis. He's the one who first came up with it. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. You'll never hear Jim Durkin or Darren Bailey or State Representative Tom Morrison. Ooh, more on him to come.
Foreshadow.
Yes, you'll never hear any of them talk about it because they never, ever, ever say anything bad about Donald Trump. It's like he doesn't exist. They only want to talk about Michael Joseph Madigan. Well, say what you will about Michael Joseph Madigan. No one has ever accused him of rape. How about that, MAGA America, MAGA Illinois, MAGA Chicago Tribune? Why don't you write about Trump's rape case every now and then? Anyway, I'll let you know all more about it. E. Jean Carroll, a very good writer, very talented writer, accused Trump of raping her. She said it occurred in the changing room of a department store in New York City back in the 1990s. Trump denied it, said he never met her, said she wasn't his type, which suggests that if she were his type, maybe he would have raped her. In response, E. Jean Carroll filed a lawsuit against Trump in New York State, claiming he defamed her character. Trump has brought in various junkyard dog lawyers to delay, with one filing after another, intended to have the case thrown out of court or drag it on for so long that its ultimate resolution occurs after the election. Not that Fox or the Tribune would ever cover it, but just in case some MAGA hat wearer was like listening to the Ben Joravsky Show and goes, oh my God, I didn't know Donald Trump was accused of rape. I mean, I subscribe to the Tribune. I listen to Darren Bailey. I believe everything the Republican Party tells me, and yet I never heard this. Yes. Key evidence, E. Jean Carroll says she has a substance on her dress, the remnants of a substance on her dress that she was wearing. And if Trump will provide DNA samples, she could prove one way or another if he is innocent, a word I'd never usually apply to Trump in a general sort of way. Trump is resisting providing the DNA sample, to which I say, hey, President Donnie, what are you afraid of? If you truly are innocent, your DNA sample will exonerate you, so just turn it over. Which, now that I think about it, sounds like just the sort of law and order thing a MAGA hat wearer would say on Fox, which said, you know what, D? I'm thinking, hey, Fox, hire me. I could be the next Bill O'Brien. I can make gazillions defending Donald Trump.
Bill O'Reilly. Bill, what
did I say?
Bill O'Brien.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Bill O'Reilly. I could be the next Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly.
All right. So yesterday you asked George Soros to sponsor our show. Now today, Fox, hire me.
Well, you know, I'm sick of being in this attic overlooking the porta potty, D. Dead broke lefty podcaster. What good has that got me, huh? Look at you. You're sitting in your house.
I'm doing great. What do you mean, look at me?
Yeah, you are doing great. You got that glow. You doing Tai Chi?
Well,
Monroe's been doing I think you're doing Tai Chi.
Since you asked, yes, I'm doing Tai Chi.
And let me just let a little secret out. Dennis hasn't smoked reefer in over 3 months. He's looking great. Where was I?
No collusion.
Yes. No collusion. I could be a Fox TV guy. Yeah, that's a perfect Fox thing. Hey, Donnie, what are you afraid of? If you truly are innocent, your DNA samples will exonerate you. Yeah, like he's going to turn over that DNA samples any day. I'm starting to think, folks, that he really did do it. Anyway, yesterday, the Justice Department announced it will be taking over the case. They're arguing that, and I'm quoting here, the president was acting in his official capacity as president when he denied he ever knew Carol. That's a legal defense known by its Latin phrase, amore et mela horseshitta. In other words, known as the horseshit defense, because it's full of horseshit. Sorry, didn't mean to swear. How could Donald Trump be acting in his capacity as president when he was commenting on something that allegedly took place before he was president? That response falls under the legal category doctrine known as duh. You know, Donald Trump, we are not as stupid as we look, even though we elected you as our president. In general, Trump is articulating a defense known as sovereign immunity, which comes from the British legal concept of the king can do no wrong. In this case, the king can sue you, as Donald Trump has done on several occasions since he's been elected president, but you can't sue the king. Got that? You know, I'm just waiting for someone in MAGA country to step up and denounce Donald Trump for this obvious inconsistency. After all, they're always denouncing J.B. Pritzker when he tries to enact some provisions that are supposed to protect us against the virus. So when are they going to step up and challenge Trump? I see them all hiding under my table, which is where they usually hide.
Come on, man.
Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Trump's racked up millions and millions of dollars in legal fees from various lawsuits, and he's asking his campaign funds to pay for them. The New York Times did a story on this not too long ago, and they tallied up approximately $58.4 million in fees that various Republican or Trump campaign files have paid for. This is similar, by the way, to what's going on in the state of Illinois with Michael Joseph Madigan. Michael Joseph Madigan is under investigation, as we've talked about many times in our show. And you can read about it in all the newspapers, and you can hear from the Republicans. He's under investigation for various allegations of wrongdoing, and he is tapping into his campaign funds to pay for it. Boy, do we hear denunciations coming from all the Republicans in the state of Illinois when he does that. Not a word about Donald Trump. Here's the other thing about Donald Trump you should know. His campaign is running low on funds, relatively speaking. He had all that money at the start of the calendar year, 2020, and then he just kind of squandered it. And now as they're heading down the stretch run, they're getting a little nervous about where the money's going to come from so that they could finance their let's scare white people to death commercials. Those are the commercials he needs to get reelected, by scaring white people into voting for him. So he's got two choices. One, he could raise more money, which he's trying to do. And two, he could get someone else to pay his legal bills. So he's going with A. And in terms of B, he's having Bill Barr, the Attorney General and the Justice Department, step in to pay for his defense. Of course, it's really you, the taxpayers, who are paying for that defense. Like I said, we didn't elect a president. Apparently, we elected a king. We've got a great show today, everybody. Monroe Anderson will be here. Yes. Trump, and more Trump. I've already talked to Monroe. He's fired up. He's going to talk a little bit about the Bill Barr case. Got to bring Jim Coogan back. Coogan, get to work. Going to have him discussing that case as well. Poor Jim Coogan. When that story broke, D, I said it to him. I go, read this.
So many chores involved in being a guest in the Ben Joravsky Show.
Unbelievable. It's really, I sent it to Ramana Hussein. Read this. Get ready to talk about it on Friday. It's a hard job being a guest. All these guests are like calling. Does he send you articles to read too? Yeah. I don't think there's another talk show in America that makes its guests do homework.
It's damn Joravsky.
Oh, God. But think, folks, if I went to Fox, I wouldn't make you do the homework. I don't know why I call him Bill O'Brien. Good God.
That was fun. Like Bill O'Brien?
That's the first step, dare I say. Am I sliding into dementia, D? No, say it's not. Anyway, plenty of political talk ahead of us with Monroe Anderson. But before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man they call Dr. D, with the news.
Please don't try to get a job at Fox News.
I think they have a dress code, D. Right now I'm wearing the same cargo shorts I've been wearing for the last 3 months.
Oh, please keep wearing the cargo shorts. How's it going? I'm Dennis. Let's find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon. First up, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
I'd love to win a Grammy.
Got to say, it's my favorite clip. It's my favorite Pritzker clip.
I'd love to win a Grammy.
I didn't tell you this, D. I forgot to tell you this.
You won a Grammy.
I was nominated for a Grammy for my rendition of the Beatles songs.
Lies.
Oh, that's a song. Lies, lies. I can't believe you. What you say?
Today, Governor Pritzker was at Hovey Hall in Normal, Illinois at 11 a.m. to discuss the 2020 census. Then he's off to the Decatur Public Library at 2 p.m. to also talk about the census. What do you know? All right, enough about the governor. Summer is wrapping up and election season is right around the corner. We are now 55 days away from Election Day. So, Ben and myself decided that it would be best if we covered a list of elections happening right here in Illinois. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you're already familiar with the main event, all right? You got Donald Trump.
And I tested very positively in another sense. So this morning, I tested positively toward negative, right? So, no, I tested perfectly this morning. Meaning I tested negative.
Huh? So we got Trump, and you know about his opponent, Democratic candidate, former Vice President Joe Biden.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
So, hey, what do you say we take some time to focus on the rest of the ballot here in Illinois? Ben, what do you say we travel across Illinois, in fact, for the next couple of months with a, well, not-so-new segment called Meet the Candidates? What do you say?
Meet the Candidates. That has a ring to it. I've heard that. Where did I hear Meet the Candidates?
I don't know where you heard it from, but you want to do it?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, grab your mask.
Face covering.
Okay, grab your face covering. Get in the car.
What?
We're in the car. That was us getting in the car. Are you there?
Yeah, there was another thing like.
Oh,
like
a quarter fell out of my pocket.
That wasn't
No.
So I like the quarter. It was like we were in a car at a toll booth, and I was reaching over to put the money in the little. By the way.
Yeah, that was change falling out of my pocket. All right, so hey, let's get in the car again. Oh, shut the door. All right, and put on your seatbelt, Ben. We're running late. It's time for us to meet the candidates. Oh, peeling out. All right, we're here. And Ben, I hope you ate breakfast, because today we're headed to most of Palatine, Rolling Meadows, Inverness, I don't know how to pronounce that town, and portions of Hoffman Estates, Arlington Heights, and Barrington. Ben, we're in the 54th District, and we're here to learn about the rematch race between incumbent Republican Tom Morrison and his Democratic challenger, Maggie Trevor. Now, Ben, rumor has it that Palatine is likely to support Joey B. Joe Biden for president.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure.
Yeah, which is why the 54th District House race is a must-watch on Election Day. All right, first, Ben, let's get to know the incumbent, Republican Tom Morrison. Ben, you did a little research on Tom Morrison, did you not?
Yes. Heavy emphasis on the word little. But I did some research on young Tom Morrison. I know a little bit about Tom Morrison. Would you like me to
first
go
off,
a little further?
Did you know that Tom Morrison apparently has a nickname?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know that nickname? Tell us the nickname.
Yes. His nickname is Tom I Love the Doors Morrison.
Okay, that's not his nickname is Tom Tax Fighter Morrison.
I saw that. Tax Fighter.
I pulled this from
thank you, Tommy. Hey, whoa.
What?
That's Tom Morrison is going to join the crusade to save our tax dollars by demanding that the Justice Department not step in to defend Donald Trump. I'm glad you said that, because as a defender of the taxpayers' dollars, he's going to tell you, D, oh, this is an outrage. If Donald Trump, as private citizen, was alleged to have raped a woman in the 1990s, the taxpayers should not be paying for his defense. And as I, as a defender of the taxpayers, am going to stand up to insist that the Justice Department retreat from this egregious violation of taxpayers' money and make Donald Trump pay his own defense bills. Is he going to do that, D?
Okay, we're just meeting the guy. This is not what you do when you first meet somebody.
I'm just saying, Mr. Taxpayer Defense.
All right, I went to his website here, his campaign website. It says here that Tom Taxfighter Morrison represents Illinois' 54th House District, an area that overlays most of Palatine, all that business. Morrison comes from a family of small business entrepreneurs, from advertising to printing to his own venture with his brother in commercial and residential disaster cleanup and restoration, a business that they built up and eventually sold. He also taught fifth grade for 6 years and spent a little time in our field, Ben. He briefly worked in radio and television broadcasting.
Yes, and I will now do my Tom Morrison imitation.
Okay.
It's been a staple of the Illinois Fair since 1922.
Once again, it's not what you do when you first meet someone. You don't make fun of someone when you first meet them. Morrison, quote, walks the talk. He has run his district office under budget every single year, saving Illinois taxpayers over $110,000. He is only one of two current Illinois lawmakers to get a 100% score from Taxpayers United of America based on votes against tax increases and votes against the outside appropriations and policies that drive the state's need to raise additional taxes. We have no new endorsements listed for Taxfighter Tom. The only ones listed are from his last race in 2018. But according to his website, this list will be updated as endorsements are received. All right. Also, Ben, like we said here, he's got some experience in TV and radio. Tom Morrison also has a YouTube show. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes.
I really did not know that.
It's called The Morrison Report. I actually pulled some audio from his show. Here's an episode from about 4 months ago. This is Tom Morrison's interview with Palatine's own trucker, B.J. McKay.
Everybody look around. Everything you touch, everything you see, everything you've eaten has come from a truck at some point, somewhere, sometime. And then it's going to take another 15, 20 days to get to a warehouse to get broken down, and then another 30 days to maybe get to the store.
What does that mean to someone who lives in Palatine, Rolling Meadows, Inverness?
One of the things that people don't understand is it's kind of a lonely life being on the road.
Did you get the name BJ from that TV show?
There it is.
Wait, I got to ask you a question, D. And by the way, excellent job pulling that down. They have the music playing while they're doing the interviews?
Yeah. It's like a, pre-recorded, cut-up audio,
Wow. Why haven't we thought of that? Like when we're interviewing Monroe, we have music playing in the background.
Oh, yeah. That won't distract the hell out of you.
Oh, so in other words, wait a minute. Hold on. The truck driver wasn't talking while the music was playing. They added the music later?
Yeah, they added it later.
Oh, Morrison, you're a tricky one. You know what his new nickname is? What? Tricky Tommy. Or Tommy Tricky.
Well, Ben, you talk to people every day. How are Tom Morrison's interview skills, at least? I know how you feel about his politics. What about his interview skills?
I got to tell you, I thought that was Mike Wallace with those probing questions. I thought that was Lori Light. Excellent question, Madam Mayor. Excellent question. In fact, yeah, I think Tom Morrison went to the same interviewing school as Lori Lightfoot. So, yeah, it was a very probing question. I really learned a lot from that truck driver. I'm surprised I didn't sing that song I always used to sing, Come on and join my convoy. Hey,
and,
beautiful
he
stuff.
had that little joke there. Hey, are you named BJ because of that TV show? BJ and the Bear, right?
What is it called, BJ and the Bear?
I don't know. You're old, not me.
I don't remember that. I knew there was a show about a truck driver, I'm pretty sure, but I lost the BJ reference, D. The joke went way over my head. Jokes have been known to do that.
How did you go from sharing stories over the years to deciding to write a book? Good question, Mayor. Good question.
You know, after hearing it about 20 times, maybe it is a good question. I don't know.
It's an excellent question. Just like Tommy Morrison's question was an excellent question.
So there it was. Tom Morrison, the incumbent running in the 54th district, now to his Democratic challenger, Maggie Trevor. I pulled this information from her website. She does not have a YouTube show, by the way, guys, so we won't be playing audio from that. But her website reads, Maggie Trevor was born and raised in Rolling Meadows, where her parents were among the city's original residents. She attended the University of Chicago, earning a bachelor's degree in chemistry and a master's degree and PhD in political science. She spent the next 30 years pursuing a career as an academic and a business researcher, and that took her all over the country and gave her deep experience in education and the workings of the healthcare marketplace. After a research fellowship at the Government Data Center at Harvard University, she taught political science at the University of Iowa. Her top 3 issues posted on her website: healthcare, women's rights, and taxes. Her March 2020 primary endorsements include the Daily Herald, the Chicago Sun-Times, the Chicago Tribune, don't tell Johnny Cass, U.S. Representative Jan Schakowsky, Illinois Federation of Teachers, the Illinois AFL-CIO, AFSCME Council 31, and our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. We have a quote from Maggie Trevor. She said, "I'm running for state representative because I know we can do better for the 54th District by working together in the state legislature for the interests of all Illinois residents. We need to make sure Illinois families have access to affordable health care and quality public education. We need to pursue fiscal responsibility and fair taxation while continuing to meet our obligations and provide critical state services. We need to focus on ensuring equal rights for all of our residents." Ben Joravsky, your thoughts on Maggie Trevor? We've talked to her before, haven't we?
Yes, full disclosure. I once interviewed Maggie Trevor in another existence, D, when I was the host of a radio show on a station whose call letters I just cannot remember at the time, at the moment. And
it's WCPT 820.
Oh, thanks. And we did this. I love this segment that we did at WCPT. I think it was called "Meet the Candidates."
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That's where I heard that phrase before. Oh yeah.
Or are you flip flopping over there?
No, that's this is come on, get it right, okay? Tom Morrison would know because he's in the business. Well, it's the difference between and Anyway, yes, I remember. We interviewed Maggie Trevor. It was a remote, and it was at a hotel out in DuPage County. And it's so rare that I ever leave Chicago. And I said, "Where are we?" And I remember them saying, "You're in Higgins Road." And I was like, "Higgins Road? I've heard of Higgins Road. Yes." And so for the rest of the day, I kept going, "Here we are at the Hotel Billy Bob, overlooking beautiful Higgins Road." Anyway, I remember that interview very well. Now, so Maggie Trevor was running in 2018, just a very typical Democratic campaign for that election cycle. And just when you were reciting some of her key issues, D, it brought back that memory. And the issue in 2018 was run hard on healthcare because the Republicans are weak in healthcare, because obviously they are weak in healthcare. They've been talking about replacing Obamacare with nothing forever. They just want to get rid of Obamacare because they hate Obama. And so they want to just obliterate it, but they have no plan to replace it. In fact, Donald Trump has his lawyers in court right now trying to crush Obamacare. By the way, Tommy Morrison, anytime you want to protect the taxpayers, there's something we could use some protection on. Why are our public dollars going to eradicate the one form of health care that many of us have? Huh, Tom Morrison, Mr. I protect the taxpayers' dollars? Why don't you try to protect us there? And while you're at it, while you're protecting us, our taxpayers' dollars, anytime you want to step in and get the Justice Department to stop defending Donald Trump on that rape charge or that defamation of character resulting from the alleged rape, feel free. Anyway, back to Maggie Trevor. So she was running, I remember it was like a very centrist campaign. She was talking about the need to have adequate health care for people. And she was talking about she's a chemist, as you pointed out, and she was talking about her appreciation for the environment and the need for environmental controls. Tom Morrison is a climate change denier. Did you know that, D? Did he talk about that on his YouTube show?
Oh, they got into it later with that trucker, but I.
No, see, the trucker was an environmentalist.
Now listen.
So, I remember Maggie Trevor, and she came very close. Very close. Do you am I stepping on your toes here? Do you have more information?
No.
Okay. She came very close to defeating Tom Morrison. I remember thinking she was going to defeat Tom Morrison because this area of Illinois is transforming. It used to be heavily Democratic, but it's becoming more and more, it used to be heavily Republican. It's becoming more and more Democratic. I believe, don't quote me, D, I believe it went for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And Tommy Morrison had the advantage of being the incumbent, and he won by 43 votes. And when I think about this, when I think Tom Morrison in previous elections had gotten he got over 60% in one election. So he would like mop the floor with his Democratic opponents. But in this case, 43 votes. It was very close. And so this is the second run for Maggie Trevor. Yes. And I believe that the demographic changes that are occurring in these northwest suburbs will go to her advantage and go to her favor, and she will be victorious. What Tom Morrison has going for him is the Donald Trump Scare White People campaign, and he's hoping that will scare. He can scare all the voters in this area into reelecting him. But I don't know, D. This is a blue state. Donald Trump is very unpopular in that area. Tom Morrison is vociferously opposed to abortion. I know our good friend, TC, Terry Cosgrove, Personal PAC, is probably going to be sending out flyers pointing this out, are hammering hard at Tom Morrison. And big supporter of the NRI, Tom Morrison. But I don't think that's going to go over well in this district. I got a feeling, to quote the Beatles, your favorite group, that this will be Maggie Trevor's year. I got a feeling. Just got a feeling.
There you are. Those are the candidates there in the 54th district. Maggie Trevor, Tom Morrison. And that is this week's edition of Meet the Candidates. All right, Ben, get back in the car. Shut the door there.
Drop the quarter again.
No, we're not doing that. Let's go. Whoa, Ben. Hang tight.
Dude.
All right, we're back. What?
Do you remember that field trip we took? I remember really clearly when we went out to DuPage County for that show and Higgins Road. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah. We went to Wendy's.
Very good. We went to Wendy's. I think Antonio's with us. Oh, man. This burger's delicious. He was wolfing the burger.
Love the Wendy's chili.
You had the chili. I think I had the smoothie, as I recall. I had the smoothie. Didn't want to eat too much, D, before the show.
You mean the Frosty. You had the Frosty.
Thank you. Thank you for the plan.
Wendy's does not do smoothies. All right, moving on here. Now, Ben, I know you were talking about this just last night in our interview with Illinois State Rep Sonia Harper, available for download now. But the Sun-Times and Tom Schuba brought the subject up today, and it'd be great to hear you talk about it again. Social equity cannabis licenses. On paper, Illinois' game plan for giving out cannabis licenses sounded simple. Award 75 recreational marijuana dispensary licenses in a lottery in late September. The applicants proceeding to the lottery phase were notified a week ago, and those 75 dispensary licenses will be the first awarded since recreational marijuana became legal in the state January 1st. Solid plan, Illinois. So far, so good. But we can't forget, everyone, our state is addicted to corruption. We just can't help ourselves, guys. We love it. Any way, shape, or form, we will take it. And with more than 700 candidates submitting 1,667 total applications seeking upwards of 4,000 dispensary licenses, oh, you knew our problematic state just couldn't help itself. Today's headline from Thomas Tax Fightin' Schuba.
He's always protecting the taxpayers' interests, young Tommy Schuba, D.
Today's headline from Tom Schuba: finalists for marijuana dispensary licenses also work for firm that graded applications. Seriously, guys, our state may have a problem. Also, to backtrack, how can 700 candidates submit over 1,600 ballots? More on that in moments. Tom Schuba writes, an employee of the global accounting firm that was awarded a no-bid contract to grade applications for the state's next round of pot shop licenses is also a partner in one of the 21 groups that secured a spot in the upcoming lottery to determine the winners. The accounting firm KPMG is getting nearly $4.2 million through a no-bid contract with the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, the agency that oversees dispensaries. The news that a KPMG employee is also part of a firm that secured 5 spots in the dispensary lottery comes as lawmakers and applicants continue to pepper Governor J.B. Pritzker with concerns about the firm's contract, methods, and how the application process shook out. KPMG spokesman James McGann said the employee, quote, is an employee, but he was not part of the engagement team that scored the applications. He added, the scoring process was objective, following the state's criteria with a blind scoring methodology. The team scoring the applications would have no knowledge of names or affiliations of applicants. A separate team scored certain aspects of the application, such as social equity. EHR spokesman Eric Kowalczyk said the firm was formed last July, 7 months before KPMG signed its initial contract with the IDFPR. Ben Joravsky, let's go to you here. Is this pure coincidence? Have the books been cooked? Is the jig up for KPMG?
All right, we've been talking a lot about this on the show. And again, as Dennis was saying, Sonia Harper, State Representative Sonia Harper from Englewood on the South Side, was on the show yesterday. She's a member of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus. They're very upset about this. They're asking to suspend the lottery process until further review. I don't know if I'm going to go so far as to say it's out and out corruption, but it's definitely a flaw in the system. And I know my dear friend Milo Samardzija always says, Ben, every system has its system. And man, oh man, this system sucks, in my humble opinion. And I've always felt that we should use the awarding of cannabis license, that's what we're supposed to call it, cannabis license, to help Black entrepreneurs get a foothold in the business. And I've been told by people, Ben, you can't just reserve it for Black entrepreneurs because, I don't know, that's reverse discrimination. Who the hell knows? So they come up with this cockamamie way of calling it a social equity license so that you promote other things other than the race of the entrepreneur. And I say Black because it's just me speaking from my heart. I've noted for years and years that Black people were the ones thrown in jail and penalized for our crazy cannabis laws, marijuana laws, reefer laws, and white people got to smoke it freely. So now suddenly it's legal, and all these rich white people and rich white companies are dominating the business. I just think that's unfair. And I think the state has to come up with rules and regulations that guarantee that some Black people make some money out of this business. And what they came up with is this system where we don't even know who the companies are, who owns the companies. They hide behind these LLCs. That you could put in multiple applications. I'm sure the state wanted the application fee. I'm sure that's part of the reason why they did it. But all these applications, multiple applications from companies are coming in, and that crowds out the field. And so somehow or other, there's 21 people now eligible for the lottery, or 21 applications eligible for the lottery, and all these other applicants got frozen out, including our old pal, Ricky Endon, State Senator Ricky Endon, who had a press conference on this matter yesterday at City Hall. So yes, Steve, I'm not sure I'm ready to call it corruption, but the system was flawed, and the people who know how to play the system were the ones who benefited the most. And just like in the old system, it wasn't Black people. And it really, JB, I love you. Gave you an A- yesterday for how you handled the COVID, but I don't think this was handled well. And I do think that you should do more to make sure that Black people are benefiting from the system, because it was Black people and Black communities that were hit the hardest by the war on drugs for all these years, D. So that's how I look at it. Thomas Schuba hit him hard in today's column, or today's story. Well, he should, because this is outrageous, man. It's just outrageous. And the KPM, this whole thing where the company that sets up and oversees the process of evaluating the applicants has an employee who is applying? That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just such an obvious conflict of interest. And I say, well, the company's like, he has nothing to do with the evaluation process. I'm sorry, D. They should have told him, look, if you want to work for our company, you can't apply for a license. If you want to apply for a license, you can't work for our company. That's just how I view it. Illinois, you're right, has that reputation. It has. So you want to eradicate any trace of a conflict of interest. And then there was the other applicant. I'm blanking on his name right now. Tommy wrote about it, and we've been talking about this one on the show as well. Phil Stefani, I think it was, that's his name, who was an applicant for a license, and he was opposing another dispensary from going into his neighborhood. You know, he lives on the Gold Coast. And Schubert wrote about this. So it's like, did you join the opposition against the other dispensary because you wanted to protect your own interest? It's Illinois, D, and I'm not ready to say it's out and out corruption, but it just stinks.
And what about the candidate application thing? 700 candidates, but over 1,600 ballots received. What's that all about? You can apply more than once?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can apply many times. And I'm sure the state's attitude was, well, we get the application fees. That's money for the state. The state's broke. I mean, I'm sure that's what they were thinking. So you've got tons of applicants applying again and again. The wealthier you are, the easier it is. I mean, it's a system that benefits the well-to-do. Oh, there's a shocker for Illinois. A system that benefits the well-to-do. First of all, you got to hire attorneys and consultants to help you prepare your application. You know, that benefits the well-to-do. Then you have to pay the application fee. That benefits the well-to-do. So we talked about this with Sonia Harper in more detail yesterday. I urge everybody to listen to that. And Ricky Hendon's going to come on the show. We're going to bring Ricky back. We'll be talking about it more. And we'll be doing a cannabis conversation tomorrow. Lisa Solomon and Bruce Montgomery will be on. We'll be talking about this more. So come on, Illinois. Let's get it right. All right. I'll say it one more time. I'll say it 20 more times, 30 more times. I can't say it's enough. The Black community was hit the hardest by the war on drugs. It's time to do right by the Black community.
All right, moving on. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
Today on Mayor Lightfoot's schedule, the virtual city council meeting. It happened at 10 a.m. I am feverishly refreshing all the Chicago news sites in search for the details on today's city council meeting. As soon as I get those details, I will be providing them on this program. Hopefully, we can get it by the end of the show. Ben, any ideas what they may have talked about at today's city council meeting?
Probably budget stuff, but I do know I did get a text from one Mr. Bike, Dave Goatz, and he is watching it, and he's recording it, and he's all set to come on, I think, next week with another edition of Dave Goatz Breaks Down the Chicago City Council meeting, which is not the real name of the segment. We never come up with the real name of the segment.
A city council synopsis with Dave Goatz.
God dang, you're good. God dang, you're good.
We've been calling it that for months.
I forgot what we called it. So anyway.
So we'll provide the details on that as they become available. Ben, we had a guest visiting Chicago today. Did you know this? Attorney General Bill Barr.
You're kidding.
No, he was in Chicago today. And
Wait, hold on. Oh, he's at my door. Let me go get him. He's going to arrest me for saying all the nasty things I said about him. Very nasty. That's my Donald Trump imitation.
Attorney General William Barr today was in Chicago, and he trumpeted the success of Operation Legend, an initiative President Donald Trump expanded in July to send additional federal agents to the city of Chicago. Barr said at a news conference, quote, "By taking chronic violent criminals off the street, we will force crime rates down." Barr also said that 400 federal agents had been committed to Chicago as part of the program, as well as more than $9 million in police grant money and $3.5 million in technical assistance. He said federal prosecutors have charged 124 defendants. We'll do a quote from Barr. Barr said, quote, Many of those defendants are now detained pending trial rather than causing harm on the streets. Ben, you've got to catch William Barr before he leaves town. Say hey.
Yeah. Like I said, he's knocked on my door. He is so full of it, that William Barr. See, first of all, I don't know how many people, I just read this. I was looking for it in the paper. I can't find it. How many people were shot over the weekend? The Trump administration has been utterly worthless to Chicago and Chicago's ongoing fight with violence. And this is a fight. This has been a very violent city for as long as I can remember. So stop pretending like this is something new that just occurred, as Trump does with the Obama administration. Stop using the violence in Chicago as a tool in your political fight with Democrats. You want to work with Chicago and the mayor of Chicago and the alderman of Chicago and the police department of Chicago to try to confront this situation? Help us out. Boy, there's a lot of things we could need help with. Our financial state is particularly precarious. We could use some help financially, like dealing with the mental health crisis in the city of Chicago. We could use some help dealing with just paying our police overtime bills. Maybe we could hire more police so they're not all stressed out working all that overtime. No, it's just rhetoric. They sent in those 400 agents. They said, Lord knows what they did. All I know is that there was over the weekend, forget how many shootings there was. I was looking for it, T. I just can't find it at the moment. So it's just, Chicago is a target for Trump and Barr. I don't know why he even came to Chicago, Barr. We could have made that announcement in Washington, D.C. My guess is there's some kind of fundraising connected to it, but I may not.
It says here the federal help arrived as Chicago again struggled with gun violence this summer. That violence has continued, leading to the fatal shooting of an 8-year-old girl who was riding in a car with family members. Still, Operation Legend appears to have contributed to a surge in new gun cases filed in federal court in Chicago. Let's see here. That followed a bump in federal gun prosecutions in June. The new agents sent here under the program were meant to work in partnership with Chicago Police and Mayor Lori Lightfoot's office under the direction of U.S. Attorney John Lausch. Last week, Lausch's office announced that 103 defendants had been charged since the launch of Operation Legend with felony offenses related to violent crime.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I understand all that. I just don't understand why William Barr had to come to Chicago to make this announcement. But be that as it may, they've been locking up people. This is old. Mick Dumke comes on this show. We talk about it all the time. The approaches to criminal justice, the approaches to trying to crack down on crime or deal with crime. One of the get tough on law and order, lock people up, lock them up, throw them away. It hasn't worked. And again, I like to point out that throwing people in the jail for gun violations, I'm a big believer in gun control, but completely mixed message from the Republican Party, Donald Trump and William Barr in this one, as we saw with Kyle Rittenhouse in Wisconsin. Excellent column in today's Tribune by Eric Zorn talking about the poorly written law in Wisconsin that apparently allowed Kyle Rittenhouse, even though he was under the age of 18, to walk down the streets with his rifle. So on one hand, they say we're going to crack down on drugs. On the other hand, they're doing everything they can to promote the legalization of drugs or of guns. So that people could walk around openly with their guns and shooting each other with their guns. Somehow or other is justified. Just a complete and total mixed message. Nobody's working together really on this matter. And it's been this way for as long as I can freaking remember. So really, Bill Barr, I'm with Lori Lightfoot on this one. Just stay out of town. You're not helping us in any way. And Trump is not helping us either. Just trying to use Chicago and use the pain that we have in Chicago as like a campaign tool to scare people into reelecting you.
Once again, Attorney General William Barr is in Chicago. Wait, I got an update. Oh, it says here, William Barr will be visiting a local porta potty in the North Center neighborhood. Ben, I think, is Barr in the can you check? Is Barr in the porta potty behind your house? Oh my God.
No, but there's a line outside the porta potty. Bill Barr is not in the line.
He's signing autographs in that thing.
He could be in there. I just, I don't have X-ray vision to see who is in the porta potty.
Bill Barr may be in that porta potty.
Whenever he comes to Chicago, he loves the porta potty, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we do have follow-up here on Tom Schuba's story on cannabis licenses here. This comes from CBS 2. Facing calls from Black and Latino lawmakers to suspend the lottery for 75 new marijuana dispensary licenses, Governor J.B. Pritzker said he is open to minor tweaks to the program, but he said the process needs to move forward before considering sweeping changes. He said, quote, "When we're done with this process, we will have the largest percentage ownership by people of color anywhere in the nation."
Yeah, well, Lisa Solomon had a good point on that. If you suspend the lottery, then it'll take that much more time before legitimate applicants who are social equity candidates, whatever that means, will not be operating it. And this has been delayed so long already. People are losing money in the process as they wait for the license to be distributed. So maybe that's not a great idea. But moving forward, you've got to do a better job of making sure, first of all, knowing who's behind the applications. Like literally, who are the people that own the companies? And are they legitimate social equity candidates, or did they just take advantage of the system to prop up a facade of a social equity candidate, which is my suspicion here, D.
Yeah, based on that story, yeah, you kind of have a good suspicion.
I just my suspicion, and that's what Sonia Harper and I were talking about yesterday. And we've got to do a better job. This hiding, I don't understand why they allow the applicants to hide behind these LLCs, and so we don't know who they are. I just think that for a state like Illinois, we need more transparency, not less.
All right. How about the cannabis czar, our good friend, Toy Hutchinson? She noted that applicants were able to seek up to 10 licenses each. So overall, there were more than 4,500 applications for the 75 new dispensary license. So, quote, "There was bound to be a lot of disappointment for this first round." Hutchinson went on to say, quote, "We knew that this was going to create a thunderstorm." When asked if he will consider suspending the lottery for the 75 licenses, Pritzker said that's not allowed under the current state law governing the program.
Yeah, well, you could change it, I suppose. You could ask to amend it. By the way, that's what up to 10 applications per licensee is that's a lot of money that the state would raise. So that's my guess. They allowed multiple applications because they wanted multiple application fees. And I don't know. In the end, I think that hurt the overall effort to make sure to guarantee that social equity applicants get it. And I think the biggest deterrence is allowing them to conceal the identity of the people who are really behind these applications.
Well, looks like even High Times Magazine is writing about this as well. They said part of the frustration stems from the fact that while more than 700 different groups applied for licenses this time around, only 21 social equity groups are advancing to the lottery round to be considered for business licenses. According to the accounting firm KPMG, those are the groups that received perfect scores on their applications. Thus, many applicants are suspicious about what happened and what was wrong with their application. High Times weighing in as well, Ben.
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious. I mean, I would expect High Times to weigh in. But again, they allowed multiple applications from, we don't even know who was applying. So, yeah, it's very suspicious. And I'm all over the map on this delaying it. Pritzker says he can't delay it. I'm a little doubtful of that. I think they could delay it if they wanted to. But there are some legitimate applicants who are probably ringing up big expenses while they wait further and further. So let's just get it going, but do a better job going forward.
So there you are. That's what's going on locally today in Chicago and or Illinois. I'm going to try to provide people with some updates on today's city council meeting before we get out of here. Feel free to weigh in with your thoughts and opinions at Benny J Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, BENNY, the letter J Show. You can send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com. You can call us. Yes, we have a phone number, 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. Weigh in with your opinion. Let us know what's on your mind, and we'll more than likely read your comments on the program. Also, be sure to download that interview we were just talking about if you've yet to, when we talked with Sonia Harper. Great interview. Shuba covered it today. We talked about it last night. So get all the details and listen to that interview with Sonia Harper at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. We do a part 2 of the show. We do the live show, and then we do a part 2. We're going to be recording this one after today's show. Ben, who do we got on deck to talk to?
Today we have Henry Davis, our dear friend from South Bend. I let the cat out of the bag last week when I was interviewing Stacey Davis Gates, who is his older sister. Henry Davis comes on the show a lot. He was talking about Pete Buttigieg, but this time, because he's very critical of Pete Buttigieg. But in this case, Henry's going to talk about his recent bout with COVID-19. Very serious case he had. I'm happy to say he came out, he survived, but he was very ill for a long time. So we're going to be talking about that and probably get into some political talks as well with Henry Davis. There's one thing I want to say we didn't get to, but I want to bring this up before we take a break and bring on Monroe. Yeah. Alderman shoot-down proposal that would bring in guard. We talked a lot about this with Carlos Ramirez Rosa, alderman of the 35th Ward, and this was the resolution. We're probably going to take a deeper dive on this one next week with Dave Glowacz. This was the resolution that Ray Lopez, alderman of the 15th Ward, had proposed that would call on the state to bring in the National Guard to help Chicago deal with the crime situation, the violence in the city. And the mayor did not want this resolution to be heard or discussed at the Chicago City Council. And Raylo, I give him credit for this one, put together a counterattack and using his mastery of parliamentary procedure, got it on the docket. It was a special meeting convened to discuss it. It was about 2 weeks ago. I was on vacation at the time. And they forced the council committee to have a hearing. And at the time, many of the progressive aldermen voted with Raylo, one of the more conservative aldermen, to have the matter heard by committee on the grounds that they didn't want the mayor to be able to stifle debate and discussion through these parliamentary procedures that mayors like to play around with from time to time. So they had their committee meeting, and I just want to update people. The resolution was voted down soundly 16-2. And the only people who voted for it were Raylo and Alderman Napolitano, a police officer from the 41st Ward. So it was defeated, if you were just curious, it was defeated 16-2. It was trounced. So again, many of the people who voted to have the hearing then turned around when they had the hearing, voted against it, if you can follow that. And then Carlos Ramirez Rosa was one of them. He said that he was against the matter, but he wanted it to get an honest hearing. So that's something I wanted to talk about and mention. And we'll be probably taking a deeper dive next week when Dave Glowacz plays his clips. I love it when he does it. He's got those clips that he plays. He goes, Dennis, could you play Alderman Ramirez Rosa? And then Dennis plays it. It's so smooth. We sound so, I'll tell you what, we never sound so smooth as when Dave Glowacz comes. Little organization from Mr. Pike. As opposed to me going, yo, D, play that thing.
Hey, D, play that thing. Okay, I got like 30 things. Which one you want? Man, you know that thing where the guy says,
wait,
huh?
Do you have the thing I sent you yesterday? I want to play it for Monroe. Speaking of which, pre-show planning on. I think it was the Chris Wallace interview where Chris Wallace asked President Trump about slavery. I think that's the one. I sent that to you yesterday.
Yesterday you sent it? All right. Yeah. Way to channel your inner Dave Glowacz there. I'll look for it and I'll have it ready. Guys, we're going to take a quick break here. Right now, Michael Girardi, he's doing Bailout. After this song, we're talking with Monroe Anderson. It's the Ben Joravsky Show.
this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine.
Come on, man.
What's the use? We'll give it all away to the corporate goons. Got deja vu. Another bailout for the chosen few. What's the use? We'll give it all away to the corporate goons. Got deja vu. Another bailout. Bailout! Grab back for the lobbyists. Blank check for the owner class. Grab back for the lobbyists. Grab back for the lobbyists. Get out!
And I tested very positively.
Fat cats in the MAGA hats. White trash all oblivious. Fat cats in the MAGA hats. Fat cats in the MAGA hats. Get out! Oh no, here we go again. When will it ever end? Oh no, what you gonna do? Leave it up to you know who.
Come on, man.
What's the use? We'll give it all away to the corporate goons. Got deja vu. Another bailout for the chosen few. What's the use? We'll give it all away to the corporate goons. Got deja vu. Another bailout. Bailout!
And I tested very positively in another sense. So this morning, yeah, I tested positively toward negative, right? So no, I tested perfectly this morning. Meaning I tested negative.
What's the use? Give it all away to the corporate goons. Got deja vu. Another bailout for the chosen few. What's the use? We'll give it all away to the corporate goons. Got deja vu. Another bailout. Bailout!
Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from Ben's attic.
Every week, every Wednesday, Monroe Anderson joins us to talk Trump, and more Trump. You ready to talk some Trump, Monroe?
Live from my media loft.
Yes. And before we talk some Trump, and more Trump with Monroe Anderson, I want to say that Monroe Anderson we've talked about this before, is a distinguished graduate of the University of Indiana in Bloomington. And I just got word from a source that I know, a source who will remain anonymous, that the university has honored him as a distinguished alumni officially. It's not just me saying he's the pride and joy of the University of Indiana, Bloomington. The University of Indiana has said that. So congratulations, Monroe Anderson. Congratulations, Monroe.
Thank you, and I'm honored that IU finally thought about me. It's been a long time.
They're forgiving you for all that marijuana you were smoking in your dorm room back in 1966. No, it's a great honor, and he deserves. Monroe Anderson, a legend, I always say, in the business. He worked for pretty much every newspaper in Chicago. I'm just going to go on, extol his virtues. He comes on the show every week. We forget this, but he worked for the Tribune, the Sun-Times. I won't hold the Tribune job against him, but he worked for the Tribune and the Sun-Times and Newsweek, and
Ebony.
How can I forget Ebony? And then he went to work, of course, for Mayor Sawyer as his press secretary. So he learned things how to work on the other side. He went to work for Channel 2 for years at Channel 2. And he was the host of Comic Ground. Monroe Anderson. So University of Indiana has honored him. And by the way, not too long ago, I did an interview with Charles Ellison, Monroe's roommate. Right? You guys were roommates back in the day.
Yeah, back in the 60s.
Back in the 60s. And I urge everybody to check out. That's a fabulous interview, if I must say so myself. Charles Ellison talking about his days in Vietnam as a soldier, a grunt in Vietnam. But before he went to Vietnam, he was Monroe's roommate. And I don't know, from the stories the two of them told me about what Monroe was like back in the day, I'm stunned at the University of Illinois. I guess the statute of limitation Monroe has expired, and
they forgot about it. Fortunately for me, all the people, professors and et cetera, who were there then are long gone.
Yes.
So somebody got a hold of my my Twitter account or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's a great honor, and you deserve it. All right, Monroe. Now, every Wednesday, he writes a bit on Facebook that talks about what we're going to discuss on the show, and I use it as my cheat sheet. So here we go. I'm going to read this. This is from Monroe's Facebook post. Are the chickens finally coming home to roost for Donald Trump? Are his 20,000 plus lies becoming threadbare? Can Trump spin the report that he knew how deadly the coronavirus was while he was calling it a hoax? Will our troops forgive him for calling their dead brothers losers and suckers? Will the court rule that the taxpayers can assume Trump's legal fees and rape accuser E. Jean Carroll's defamation case? Ben Joravsky and I will be discussing this and more on the Ben Joravsky Show. Excellent distillation of what's been going on in the world of Trump. To that, I would add his rewriting the history of slavery. We'll get to that.
There's much to get to. We'll see how much we can get to.
We can get to. And I will also add just something I've been getting. I think I've told you this before. I just say this every week. I get all the emails from various the right wingers. They like the Tea Party sends me their emails. But one guy I get a lot of emails from is Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina. I must get 3 or 4 emails from him a day, Monroe. And I'm just going to read to you what Tim Scott is saying. All right. People should know this. Tim Scott is a black man, and he is the senator from South Carolina. He's a high profile member of Donald Trump Nation. He got to deliver a speech at the Republican convention. And so here's what the email says. It's just was sent to me, Monroe, and you'll get a kick out of this. Again, this is, I don't think they realize who they're writing to, but here's how it's addressed. The heading is Words Hurt, and it's addressed to fellow conservative. Okay, somehow or other, they got me as a fellow conservatives. And here's what he wrote. My grandfather suffered the indignity of leaving school as a 3rd grader to pick cotton, never learned to read or write. Yet he lived to see his grandson become the first African-American to be elected to both the United States House and Senate. So when those on the left call me, quote, token, quote, Uncle Tom, or a race, quote, traitor, it is more than just insults typed on a computer. They are words that hurt my soul. Fellow conservative, these words should anger you too. They represent the very worst of our politics. I strive every day to rise above it and work toward finding solutions for all Americans. We cannot allow the left to get away with their ongoing attacks against anyone who dares to think differently. My family went from cotton to Congress in one lifetime, and that's why I believe the next American century can be better than the last. I know that insults and attacks I face today are nothing like the injustices and hatred faced by my father, but I know we can do better. So fellow conservatives, when you read attacks on me for daring to think differently, don't get discouraged, get activated, get motivated, get involved. And then, of course, he goes on to say, and donate some money to me. Monroe?
Yes.
What's your thoughts when you hear Tim Scott's letter to me?
Quit Thomas. That's it. No, okay, so, no, seriously, okay. I'll go into a little more detail. He is a Republican. I don't know why he chose to go that route. But for him to complain about people being critical of him, when you have Trump calling people names day in, day out, including calling those who chose to fight for this country losers and suckers, then he ought to man up and just accept that he's going to be called, that words are going to hurt him.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I
don't understand. See, the thing is, I know Black conservatives. I may have even had one or two Black conservatives as a friend at some point or another in my life, but I don't, for the life of me, understand, considering how racist those people are, the conservatives in this country, and how single-minded they are on certain things, how you could be one. I just don't understand it.
Well, there's two issues here, and you've raised them both, and so I'm going to deal with them in the order that you raised them. The first one is the hypocrisy. So the Republicans and conservatives in general are always denouncing cancel culture, and are always denouncing the snowflake liberals, and are always saying that liberals are too sensitive. And whenever they confront somebody that says something that they find disagreeable, they want to stifle that person and take away their right for free expression. And what really Republicans believe in is liberty. Okay, the liberty, free to say what you want, and let the chips fall where they may. And so it never fails to bring a smile of disbelief to my face at the utter shamelessness of a Republican like Tim Scott, who, knowing that's what the Republicans say all the time, when he feels insulted by something that a lefty says about him or a liberal says about him, in the fray, he starts crying and whining and sending out this letter. Oh, they say mean things. And my poor granddaddy who worked in...
Right. Remember that Clarence Thomas was getting an electronic lynching.
Yes.
And this is the guy who got helped by affirmative action and then immediately pulled the ladder up so nobody else could follow.
Absolutely. So, in other words, when Black conservatives articulate their point of view and they get slammed by their critics have gone too far and have denigrated the public sphere and have just gone too low. But conservatives are free to say any freaking thing they want about Monroe Anderson and Ben Joravsky and all the other lefties and liberals in the land, because that's free expression.
Right. And it's okay to tell it like it is.
Yeah. When they insult us, it's telling it like it is. Right. When we insult them, they're insulting me. I don't know, Monroe. I just had to share that with you. And you're absolutely correct. That's the second point. The second point, that Black conservatives, I think this bothers me more than the first part. They want to pull up the ladder on affirmative action. They want to say, you know what, affirmative action does not really help Black people. And then as soon as they get criticized for something they did wrong, they fall back on you're racist. Do you follow me, Monroe? Do you see that?
Speaking of affirmative action, Trump just ordered that affirmative action quit being practiced by all federal agencies.
Yeah.
Had you heard about that one?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Right. I know. It's I mean, he has gone full blown white supremacist. He's not even pretending anymore.
Well, one of the efforts that Trump and the Republicans are making in this area has to do with slavery, Monroe, and I've talked about it a little bit on the show. They've turned the 1619 Project into a dog whistle that they're using. Have you been following this at all? The 1619? Get your thoughts on this one.
It's a good piece, and what it does is bring to the light, out from under the hidden in the closet somewhere, how slavery impacted this country and how it continues to impact Black Americans in this country. You know, I've been doing Ancestry.com, going back in my family history, and my birth certificate says Monroe Anderson III. But in fact, I discovered proof positive that the first Monroe Anderson was a mulatto, and he was born 1858 in Mississippi. So my great grandfather was a slave, and his father was a sharecropper. My father's father was a sharecropper. So I'm not that much better off in terms of arriving than Senator Tim Scott, if you want to play that game.
But somehow or other, you resisted the urge to be for Donald Trump. Unlike Senator Tim Scott. He can't fight it. He loves Donald Trump. Yeah.
This is the skins and the shirts, and he decided to go with the silk blouses.
Well, I just had to share that with you. I got that. And by the way, that is not the first time that Tim Scott has sent out such an appeal.
Oh yeah, no, I get Trump's emails asking for money. The Trump campaign. Actually, they're desperate right now because they're not getting the money they were once getting, and so they are desperate for money. Biden is out raising them. They haven't even reported what their latest campaign contributions, the number on it. And normally it's done it would be done at the beginning of the month. And we're 9 days into it, or 10 days into the month, and they still haven't reported it, which makes me suspect that is not very good. And they have very foolishly, did you hear the reports on how they've mishandled the money for the campaign?
Yes, go into it. Yes.
Okay. They spent $11 million on an ad in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To go up against Bloomberg.
Yep.
And this was Trump's ego, because he knew that Bloomberg was going to attack him, and so he spent $11 million for that. They spent $21 million in defending Trump for the impeachment and other crimes and misdemeanors that he's committed. 21 million of that the money for that, because he lives in Washington, where he has about as much chance of winning the vote there as I do. And last time I checked, I'm not on the ticket. They spent a lot of money in D.C. on advertising for him. The campaign did, because he lives there and he watches TV all the time. And so they wanted to make him feel good about that.
Yeah, a lot of money was squandered, and as a result, the huge advantage that Donald Trump had when this year began, when 2020 began, has evaporated, as you're pointing out. And there's going to be an effort by the Republicans to blame. They've always got to find someone to blame. So, for instance, you were just talking about how Donald Trump, they have to indulge his ego by airing commercials that he could watch and go, I'm a great guy, when in fact it's a waste of money. But they're going to try to find a fall guy to blame on this Monroe, and it's probably going to be the old head of the old campaign manager that they fired, or they shuffled. They moved him out and replaced him with Bill Stepien not too long ago. You watch, that's coming. But that is part of the reason, in my humble opinion, that the Justice Department is moving in to take defense, to defend Donald Trump, to handle the defense, Donald Trump's defense of the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit for defamation regarding her accusation that Trump raped her. Don't you agree with me on that?
It's a stalling tactic. That's all this is. It's just a stalling. They were about to go into discovery, which means that they would have been discussing his taxes, mm-hmm. and the details of the rape, et cetera. It would have been all in the news. So by shifting it, saying no, this was done while the president was the president, and therefore the government should take this over. So now it's the Jean Carroll versus the United States of America. That's what they're shooting for, and because the courts are going to have to process this, it'll be after November 3rd, they hope, before all this stuff comes out. But this is the biggest.
All right. Seems like we may have lost Monroe Anderson. Hang tight, everybody. Ben, are you there?
I am here. I'm waiting for Monroe to continue. I can see him on my computer, frozen in mid-sentence.
He looks good, man. He's got a haircut.
Yeah, he's looking good. It's like one of those moments, when I'm watching a basketball game and it freezes, and I'm like, okay, I know. Yep, see, moved there, and
he's gone.
He's gone. We're gonna bring him back. Yeah, I always hesitate. But by the way, the people who listen to the show live get to hear this great segment. Of course, the podcasters won't hear a thing of this, D. They won't know about it at all.
Yeah, I know.
Blissfully ignorant. But I think Monroe is in mid-sentence. He was talking about one of my favorite themes. We'll wait for him to call back. One of my favorite themes, which has to do with William Barr stepping in. The Justice Department has stepped in to assume the defense of Donald Trump in the lawsuit filed by E. Jean Carroll. I talked about this at the outset of the show. And Monroe was talking about it in terms of the delay tactic. I have, of course, been emphasizing the fact that the taxpayers will be picking up the costs of defending Donald Trump, and that one of the things that Donald Trump is particularly concerned about is that he is running low on funds, that he squandered much of the millions of dollars that he had raised early on in this campaign, an extravagant campaign. He thought he was going to have like a slam dunk. And so he was, as Monroe pointed out, he also thought he might be up against Michael Bloomberg. So he just wanted to just show Bloomberg in an ego match that I can go with you step for step. Michael Bloomberg was having a commercial in the Super Bowl back in February. This is all pre-pandemic. So Trump said, I'm going to have a commercial in the Super Bowl. And Donald Trump's commercial emphasized his support for criminal justice reform, which is like ancient history from where we are right now. But you could tell how much things have changed because of the pandemic. Donald Trump was going to run for re-election based on having created the greatest economy in the history of mankind. that was going to be his. Oh, there you are, Monroe. You've rejoined us.
I was talking to myself.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was really interesting. But what I was saying while we were waiting to get you back is how much the campaign has changed since the early part of the year when Donald Trump aired that commercial that you alluded to in the Super Bowl. That was pre-pandemic, and he was running a campaign based on the notion that he was the greatest president the country had ever seen because he had created the greatest economy the world had ever seen, and he was also compassionate. He had come up with criminal justice reform. So I think he really felt that he was unbeatable at that moment in time.
Which was foolish. I mean, he's been impeached. He has so many things. He has a sealed indictment waiting on him in New York as individual number one. He was going to lose, as you know. I've been saying this for 3.5 years. He was going to lose anyway, but now he's just going to lose bigger. And that's this is what I was talking to myself about. What I thought I was talking to you. The Woodward book has what Bob Woodward did was he's released the tapes. Normally he doesn't do that, the interview tapes. And so we have Trump on February 7th saying that it was an airborne disease and that it was a lot worse. It was 5 times worse than the flu. Mm-hmm. He knew all this stuff, and he chose to lie to us. And as a result, we have a lot of the economy's ruined. You're afraid to send your kids to school. Lots of people died. I think it's 192,000. And Andy Slavic, who worked in the Obama administration, says that 75% had Trump acted right away when he knew in February, early February, that 3/4 of those people who have died would still be alive. Now you do the math on 0.75 times 192,000, and it's a lot of people would still be living.
Yeah, the exact quote.
They're still dying. So Trump's not going to be able to weasel his way out of this one.
The exact quote, I'll read it to you from the Bob Woodward book. The book's called Rage. And you're right, Monroe. I don't recall Woodward ever releasing the tapes of these interviews, but the exact quote is, this is Donald Trump speaking. I'm picking this quote up from the Bob Woodward book. "This is deadly stuff. You just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. It's more deadly than even your strenuous flu," end of quote. And of course, at the same time, Trump's people were putting out the notion that it's about the same as the flu, so there's no reason to shut down the economy. It's no different than the flu. You're over-exaggerating. You're hyping this disease. So Trump knew the ramifications, knew how dangerous the virus was, and yet why, Monroe? Why do you think that Donald Trump, instead of being the leader of the country and trying to protect the country, why did he take the position that he did, that it was not a threat?
Because Trump is crazy. I mean, there's no other way you could, and he's a horrible leader. You know, he would have had to have taken responsibility instead of blaming it on the governor. He should have convened all the governors and said, what do you need? What can we do for you? We have to do this right away. Then he should have told the American people that this was the real deal and that they needed to wear masks, socially distance, wash their hands in February, early February. Yesterday, he had a rally in, I think it was North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he was telling the people that he wanted the governors to open up the businesses. He wanted the governor to open up the business. I mean, he's still, although he knows better, but he's still pushing that. And part of the reason that he's pushing it is he wants to give people the impression, his supporters, the crazy people, the impression that this is no big deal and that it's going to disappear. He's still doing that. It's going to disappear. But he knows better. Now we know that he knows better from these tapes with Woodward.
Yeah. And beyond that, he's undermining the message of his own experts. Right. When he made fun of the reporter for wearing a mask when the reporter asked him a question at that press conference. Something happened this week. I know you know it because you obsessively follow all this stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And then when the other reporter took his mask off, Trump goes, "Oh, he sounds so much better and clearer. Thank you for taking your mask off." Completely undermining the whole message of wearing a mask in the first place.
And he wasn't wearing one. And yesterday at the rally, most of his people, it was 1,000 there or so, most of them did not have masks on. He didn't have a mask on. And what's really, you remember that rally that was in South Dakota?
Yeah. Oh, yes. The bikers rally. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they've been tracking that. And the projection is that 256,000 cases came out of that, coronavirus cases, because it was 400,000 people at this rally in a town that's population is 7,000 normally. Yeah, 400,000 bikers there, all squashed together in and out of places, and they went back home, obviously, all across the U.S. And as a result of that, 256,000 coronavirus cases are coming from there. One fifth of all the cases, million cases we've had in the past month, are directly traceable to there.
And yet it seems as though the Republican Party and the Trump campaign are operating from the notion that the virus is a thing of the past.
Right.
And, so how successful will that tactic, in your humble opinion, be with voters? Do you think voters are going to follow the Republicans on that logic and just say, yes, this is a thing of the past. Donald Trump doesn't wear a mask. People who come to his rallies don't wear masks. They make fun of reporters who wear masks. How do you think that's going to sell with the public?
Too bad Elvis Presley isn't alive. He could sing Blue, Blue Tsunami.
Still sticking to that. But who was it that was calling you out for your Alabama prediction? I think it was one of our listeners was calling you out for your Alabama. You're still sticking to the that Biden's going to win Alabama and Mississippi?
I'm saying there's a possibility. Well, we've got 55 days left before the election, and Trump it's only getting worse and worse. I mean, I fully believe that within the next week or something, one of Trump's military people are going to come out and just say, yeah. He used to call our brave soldiers suckers and losers. I heard him say it. And he's lost. Military Times did a piece where half of the military people are not supporting him anymore. And he used to be really popular among the military folks.
Yeah. No, this is astounding that Donald Trump, that is still even considered a possible winner in this election by what he did by trashing, desecrating the soldiers who were killed in war, calling them losers and suckers, goes far beyond anything any Democrat would even think of saying.
Right. Well, but see, the Trump nuts are just so devoted that they refuse to believe it. You know, he tells them it's a hoax, it's a lie, and they believe that it's a hoax, that is a lie. My Trump nut friends that I fight with on Facebook, their defense for it is, well, there are no witnesses. They talk about sources. They don't name anybody. The fake media is making it up. But I'm saying at some point in the not too distant future, some general, say some guy named Kelly.
Oh, some guy named Kelly. Okay.
It's gonna fess up. So just come out and say, yeah, he said it. He said it at my son's grave as we stood there. My fallen son, military man.
That Kelly that Monroe Anderson's alluding to, of course, is John Kelly. He used to be chief of staff to Donald Trump. He was considered the responsible person in the White House that was holding it all together. You remember those days, Monroe? John Kelly was the responsible person in the White House, the grown-up in the White House that was holding it all together. He finally stepped away from Donald Trump at his service. He's not talking right now. He is maintaining silence. He says there's a certain decorum he's going to follow, and so he's just not going to comment whatsoever. But Trump obviously believes that John Kelly is a source of the off-the-record comments made to Atlantic Monthly, because when he was talking about the article last week, he started out of nowhere, started trashing John Kelly.
Yeah.
Monroe. He says
Kelly's a source. I many years ago, maybe I learned this when I was a press secretary, but at some point in my career, I learned how to track sources in media stories, and it's the person who's not named but who gets good copy in the story somewhere. Nice things are said about them because the reporter is protecting his or her source because they want to be able to come back to him. And so they're not going to trash him. In fact, they're going to make him sound heroic.
Wow, that's some cynical stuff, but it's absolutely true. And I long ago learned to do the same thing. I didn't have the when Monroe Anderson was tracking sources as the press secretary, you were obviously trying to protect the mayor. In that case,
following
months of
I was planning as a planning story. And they wrote wonderful things about me in the process.
I see. So you saw it in action.
Right.
That's hilarious, Monroe. Well, you know, I mean, we're on a tangent here, but I stopped. Years ago, I would, you could see old columns I wrote where I have blind quotes. You know, somebody would talk to me. And then after a while, I just stopped doing it. You know, I felt used to a certain degree. Right. You know, if you're not going to come out and
they leak at stuff that they want you to print, and it's not fair to the other person who it's going against.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So you have to force them on the record.
So in this particular case, the Atlantic Monthly story,
yeah,
I believe Trump said it. Because it literally sounds like Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, no, Trump said, no question about it.
Yeah,
I mean he said, I mean, you know, he's talked about John McCain. He's called John McCain a loser in public.
Yeah,
in fact, a lot of those things, not everything in the Atlantic story can be tracked, but a lot of that you can see. That's how he talks. That's how he thinks.
I want to just let people know this Friday, I'm going to have a guest come on the show who is an Air Force veteran, who is the one, Michael Thurman is his name, and he's the person who was very critical of Joe Biden, went up to Joe Biden's face and criticized him for voting to authorize the war in Iraq when he was a senator and supporting the war efforts and calling them, you know, and saying there's blood on his hands. Then Donald Trump Jr. found that old Twitter bit and retweeted it, and millions of people have viewed it. And Michael Thurman has come out and denounced Trump for doing that and saying, I don't want anybody to think I'm voting for Donald Trump. I despise Donald Trump. He's going to come on the show this Friday. We're going to talk about all these things. But the point I'll be raising with Michael Thurman is the one that I'm going to share with you, Monroe. Go back to Donald Trump, his life before he ran for office. And he was very open about how he didn't serve in the Vietnam War and just thought that the Vietnam War was a waste of anybody's time, and that he was running around having the good life back then.
Hanging out in Studio 54, and he said his biggest battle in the 70s was fighting venereal diseases.
Yes. And then he laughed. And Howard Stern laughed, and whoever else was enabling him in those days laughed. And now he's acting all patriotic and how he reveres the military, throws gazillions of dollars at the military, and that's sort of his way of just buying.
But he disrespects the generals. I mean, even this week, he's talked about how he's dissed the generals, saying that the troops love him, but the generals are trying to make money off of the wars. They want to make money.
Which is really bizarre, because Donald Trump's administration has jacked up the amount of money that we spend on military and airplanes and armaments and weaponry beyond anything that Barack Obama did. And Barack Obama had jacked it up. He was spending too much on the military. And it's just so hypocritical for Donald Trump to act as though that he's a man of peace. Our army is
not hypocritical. It's dishonest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's beyond.
You're right.
Hypocrisy.
I believe that he said it, but going back to the point I was going to make, I'm disappointed that the person just didn't own up to it. And I know whoever said, let's say it was John Kelly, just for the sake, he would be trashed by MAGA Nation. Okay, you know it. He would be trashed by MAGA Nation.
Right.
But on the other hand, he's getting trashed anyway by MAGA Nation. So
exactly. You know, Cohen. Did you hear Cohen's interview yesterday? Michael's book, his latest book. Anyway, and I've said this on your show, and he just confirmed it. Is that Trump did not plan to be president. He ran for president because he saw it as this great marketing thing he could do, where he would run. His name would become bigger and bigger. He could cut the deal with Russia, putting the Trump Tower with Putin, putting the Trump Tower there. But this was all to make him richer and more famous, more of a bigger brand. And then he up and won. And he didn't have, as I think I know I've mentioned this on your show before. He didn't even have a victory speech written the night the returns were coming in. I mean, he did not expect to win. And then it's sort of like the producers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the great movies of all time, Mel Brooks, The Producers. So what you do is, if you want to make money on Broadway, what you do is you bring in more money to stage a play than you would possibly need, and then you produce a flop so that it just dies after one production, and then you get to keep all the money you raised. Well, whatever. Their show turns out to be a hit. So suddenly they owe all these people.
Springtime for Hitler.
Yeah, springtime for Hitler. By the way, really disturbing news. I talked about it yesterday in the show. In Germany, the neo-Nazi movement in Germany, which is just, let's pause to think how frightening that is. A neo-Nazi movement in Germany has adopted Trump as their hero.
Right.
And
he's spreading his this is why we not only have to defeat him in November, but we have to defeat him so hugely that he becomes a non-factor, that he's embarrassed. I mean, that's the only way we're going to be able to start to fight this. Because he the white nationalism and the racism is spreading around the world because America looks up to. I mean, the world looks up to America.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to end this with a little bit of good news on that front. One of the emails I got today from Right Wing America, and I get literally dozens of them every day, said, good news. Follow me in this, Monroe. It said, good news. Good news. We are now even with Biden in Texas.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the good news?
Right.
I mean, Texas is supposed to be a given for Trump. You know what I'm saying?
It would be like LeBron sending out an email saying, good news, we're only a few points ahead of the Bulls.
You had to bring in my beloved Bulls. You had to bring in my beloved Chicago Bulls and how bad we're doing. I'll tell you what.
We aren't doing bad at all. We're not. We're bench warming. We're staying in place at home.
Well, I just want to point something out.
That's what our beloved Bulls are doing.
I'll tell you something about my beloved Bulls. Right now, my beloved Bulls are undefeated in the bubble.
Yeah,
we're undefeated in the bubble. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of course, they haven't played any games.
He said they didn't lay a hand on them.
All right, Monroe, you look. Oh, final question of the day. Got to ask you this. We were talking about this yesterday, and I said, I'm going to ask Monroe this. I made a declaration yesterday that I'm going to go vote in person, that I believe that voting in person, wear a mask, it will not be much different than, let's say, going to the grocery store to buy some groceries. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to be in, going to be out. I'm going to vote in person. Are you going to vote in person, or are you going to vote by mail?
The last time I was in a grocery store was March 15th.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, literally, I went to a Mariano's, the one on North Avenue. That's the last time I've been in a grocery store. All my groceries are delivered.
I see. So I guess you're going to be voting by mail.
I will be voting by mail. Although I understand that the chances of my contacting COVID-19, if I have a mask on and gloves and I'm in a place where I just go in and come out, are minor. And plus our positivity rate right now is 4%. Which means that four out of 100 people tested are positive for the virus. So it's minor to begin with, but I have no interest in fooling.
All right, I think Monroe has frozen.
He'll be back.
On us again.
He'll be back. And we have some questions for him. The live stream chat has asked him some questions. So we'll give Monroe some time here. He's doing a little buffering at the moment. Hopefully.
Oh, you can see it.
Uh-oh. Well, I'll ask the question to you, Ben. Shout out to the live stream chat. They weighed in here. Jim on the live stream chat. I think he was asking Monroe's opinion here. Sorry, Jim, you're getting Ben's take. He says, question, will Trump go to prison when he is out of the White House?
Oh, I will answer that question as though Monroe were answering it. Yes, emphatically. Monroe has been predicting that for a long time. There's so many cases mounting against Donald Trump that, let's assume that Biden wins the election, because this is the only way Trump would ever go to prison, of course, if Biden were to win the election. Then you have to say, well, will Joe Biden want to spend time having his Justice Department prosecute Donald Trump? And I'm not quite sure about the answer to that. Joe Biden seems to be the type of candidate that's going to say, we're moving forward. That's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward. We're going to forget about the past with Donald Trump. So there's just some issue as to whether Biden would bother to prosecute, or what I'm saying is would he order his Justice Department to prosecute. So I'm not quite sure about that. But Donald Trump will be facing a whole array of lawsuits on a state level. So I don't think you go to jail for them, but it could be many embarrassing revelations and court awards to pay if he doesn't go to jail. So it's not going to be easy for Donald Trump if he were to defeat it. That is for sure.
All right, and listeners, I'm a huge liar. Turns out Monroe Anderson is gone. I don't think he's going to be back, so we're just going to move right along here. Thanks to everyone who reached out on the live stream chat. Hopefully we'll get your questions in next Wednesday when Monroe is here. All right, I have some updates on today's city council meeting. Yes, it was today at about 10 a.m., the one thing we've learned here, the following comes from Fran Spielman in the Chicago Sun-Times. The city council approves ban on flavored vaping products that are favored by teens. It seems like vaping has always been the issue here ever since it's become legal in the state of Illinois. Isn't that right, Ben?
And it's one thing that everybody in Chicago can agree on these days. Vaping is bad for you, particularly flavored vaping. Oh, wait, city council, way to hammer hard at that important issue.
Chicago, it says here on a 46-4 vote after a surprisingly spirited debate, aldermen approved a watered-down ordinance banning the sale of flavored vaping products favored by teens, but exempting flavored tobacco products, including menthol cigarettes. We have Lori Lightfoot speaking on this. She gave a press briefing after the city council meeting. Like to hear it? Here it goes. Lori Lightfoot. First. Hold on a second. I got to get my settings set on my phone. Oh, boy. Just hang tight with us here. Once again, we're going to be playing the interview, or Lori Lightfoot's press briefing from today following today's city council meeting. And, okay, give me 1 second here. All right, here we go.
Collaboration and partnership with advocacy groups, community leaders, and elected officials. The city council today passed the Woodlawn Housing Ordinance. This is an innovative and comprehensive measure that will, among other things, protect existing Woodlawn residents from displacement, as well as expand home ownership opportunities and ensure inclusive growth for this historic neighborhood. This ordinance also represents the culmination of an effort that began last summer when we initiated a robust series of community engagement meetings to create a real two-way dialogue around community priorities related to the creation of the Obama Presidential Center. I want to give a special thanks to Alderman Hairston and Alderman Jeanette Taylor. Both were fierce advocates for their communities, making sure that long-term residents were heard, respected, and supported. Thanks also goes to Commissioner Maurice Cox of Planning and his team, as well as Commissioner Marissa Navarro of Housing and her team. Both departments led and participated in a significant process of community engagement, and the fruits of those labors are reflected in this historic ordinance. Thanks to those efforts, this ordinance, along with others we've undertaken, will ensure that not only the Woodlawn community members, but other Chicago residents will be able to fully benefit from the incredible opportunities created by the future Obama Presidential Center, and we are very excited to break ground on that center as soon as possible. Meanwhile, we also made a hugely important step in keeping our residents, particularly our young people, healthy with the City Council's vote to ban the sale of flavored vaping products in Chicago, helping keep them from using these products and developing life-threatening habits. And I want to be clear, because there was some discussion about this among City Council. With flavors like candy and chocolate and other names and flavors that are clearly targeted towards children and young people, these products, no doubt about it, are designed to get our young people hooked. The tobacco industry is looking for its next generation of people who are addicted to nicotine, and we as a city have a responsibility to do everything that we can to keep that from happening.
So there you are.
That first measure she was talking about, the Woodlawn housing ordinance, Jeanette Taylor's been on the show, Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, 20th Ward. This has been a tough issue to resolve. I have to take a look at the details of this one, D. But Jeanette Taylor is very concerned that the Obama Presidential Center would ignite gentrification in her area and force many longtime residents out of the area by making it too expensive to live in. This has been happening all over the north side, and she was concerned that it was going to happen. It's already happening to a certain degree, let's be honest, in the Woodlawn area. So she didn't get everything she wanted, Jeanette Taylor. She was very open about that the last time she was on the show, but she wanted some kind of protection for the residents. And by the way, it's not a slam dunk absolutely yet on that presidential center. There's still a lawsuit against the center saying that it should not be trying to prevent it from being built in Jackson Park, saying that would be destroying a beautiful park. Very sympathetic to the cause in that lawsuit. So it's not 100% done deal. I think the last ruling I saw, the judge ruled in favor of the presidential center and the city and against the residents who are fighting it, but they're appealing. And so it's not 100% a done deal yet, Dee.
Measures that will support the health and safety of our residents.
All right, we're done with that. Mayor Lightfoot's press briefing. Go check it out. It's online. And we're just about 100% done with today's program. But before we roll out of here, we want to remind everybody you can send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com. You can reach us on social media @BennyJShow, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, of course, you can always give us a call, 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. And everybody, we're going to be talking with our reoccurring guest and dear friend, little brother of SDG, Stacey Davis Gates. Henry Davis is going to be joining us. It's going to be available for download by 7 p.m. tonight. Be on the lookout for that as well.
All right, I want to thank Monroe Anderson. Did a great job, as he always does, talking Trump, 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 Trump. And, of course, thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride of Joey of Alton, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. Back home in Alton, they call him Dennis. That's all they do. They call him Dennis. Give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Garza and Alderman Mike Rodriguez for their efforts on this important issue. Now I'm happy to take your questions.
Mayor, when it comes to vaping, there have been some that have written about it saying that it was watered down, what the ordinance that was passed today. If this is so important, why not ban flavored cigarettes? Why not take it further?
Well, as I said, we intend to keep pushing on this issue. This is very personal to me, as I remarked during City Council. My father started smoking cigarettes when he was about 13 years old, and he smoked up until about the last year of his life, and he only stopped because he was heavily addicted. He only stopped when he literally couldn't get oxygen and had to go on supplementary oxygen. Watching a loved one who has been a victim of nicotine addiction and the terrible things that smoking does to your body, to your upper respiratory systems, to your heart, and seeing him die slowly over the course of a very long year. I will never forget that, and I am determined to make sure that we do everything we can to educate our folks about the perils of smoking, but we have to do something to stop the spread of vaping among our young people. As remarked by many on the City Council.